You wanted the best. You've got the best podcast. The hottest podcast in the world. The Chris Voss Show, the preeminent podcast with guests so smart you may experience serious brain bleed. The CEOs, authors, thought leaders, visionaries, and motivators. Get ready. Strap yourself in. Keep your hands, arms, and legs inside the vehicle at all times, because you're about to go on a monster education roller coaster with your brain. Now, here's your host, Chris Voss.
Hey folks, it's Voss here from thechrisvossshow.com. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. The Iron Lady sings that makes official welcome to the big show. As always, the Chris Voss Show is the big family that loves you, but doesn't judge you as harshly as the rest of the world, because you're family. You're family. And you're part of a great family, too, because we love you as long as you're not evil. And you're here to make your life better, learn more, do more. You know, we got the stuff that makes you smarter, really. We don't do one of the podcasts that makes you dumber. It's smarter. And we have all the guests to prove it. I don't know about the host, but my guests are really smart. Anyway, we have an amazing couple on the show today. We're going to be talking to them about leadership and some of the ways you can improve your life. But in the meantime, we gotta cajole you to refer your family, friends, and relatives to the show. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, LinkedIn.com, YouTube.com, ChrisVoss.com/Chris Voss. One word. You can find us wherever we are on the internet. We have an amazing couple on the show with us today. We're joined by Dr. Garland Vance and Dorothy Wood Vance for their book that has come out. It's called Unleashed Leadership: How to Solve the 7 Issues Holding You Back from Your Greatest Impact. And it's part of the Unleashed Leadership series, book 1, that we're going to get into on all the deets and all that good stuff. It came out January 20th, 2026. So it's fresh off the boat, and you can go ahead and get a chance to read it, find out more about it, and we'll cover it in the show. How about that? That's a great idea. The Vances are the co-founders of Advance Leadership. I like how you guys did that.
Hey, thanks.
Thank you.
Advance. It's part of your name. A leadership development company recognized as one of the top 20 leadership development companies in America. Together, they've spent over 25 years helping organizations grow great leaders. Their work helps good leaders become great, and great leaders create healthy, high-performing teams. They are the authors of the aforementioned book, and let's see how you can solve the 7 issues holding you back, et cetera, et cetera. Dorothy holds multiple certifications that help people grow in their individual strengths and leadership. Garland holds a doctorate in leadership and is the author of Getting Unbusy, named by Forbes as one of the 7 books everyone on your team should read. They've been married even longer than they've been developing leaders. Welcome to the show, folks. How are you?
We're great. So glad to be here. Looking forward to a good conversation.
There you go. That's what we do on the Chris Voss Show. Give us .coms, websites. Where do you want people to find you on the interwebs, please?
Yeah, you can find us at advanceleadership.live. Now, it's important. Vance does not have a D on the end of it because it's after our last name, advanceleadership.live. That's where you'll find out all about how we can help you, and individually and whole companies as well.
There you go. So any other links we need to add, Dorothy, for you?
Nope, that's where you'll find me as well.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Want to make sure we get everybody's. We're equal opportunity linker.
Appreciate that.
Plug away. So give us a 30,000 overview. Give both of you guys a swing at this of what your book is about.
Sure. So we believe that every problem in a business is influenced by the leaders, because leaders are the ones who make the decisions that affect people's lives. They're the ones who choose actions or choose not to take certain actions. They're the ones who determine the strategy. They affect how the culture is shaped. And so every problem in a business starts as a leadership issue, but most leaders kind of get stuck trying to figure out what do they need to do? How do they need to grow in order to help the organization grow?
Mm-hmm.
And so our book did research on the 7 issues that cause at least 95% of the problems that organizations face.
Yeah, what we found with leaders is there's so much material out there. There's so many incredible experts, and all of that material is great to read. All of those experts are great to listen to. But the question we kept getting over and over again is, where do we start? Where do I start when it comes to leadership development?
Mhm.
So that's really what the crux of this book is about, is helping to guide people to find the root issues and to know where they need to start, what books they need to read from here, what experts they need to listen to, so they can get to the bottom of their particular issue.
There you go. And you guys talk about how the every business starts as a leadership problem. Expand on that if you would a little bit. What is the problems with that? Is that one of those things where the buck stops here sort of things, or how does that work?
Yeah, so it really comes down to that whole idea that every decision that a leader makes affects everyone who they influence, and it affects their family as well. Every action that a leader takes has a ripple effect on people throughout the organization. And most leaders are blind to it, right? They wake up in the morning and they know what they look like when they get out of bed, and they know what they smell like after a workout. And so they don't see themselves as having significant impact on the lives of the people that they lead. And so they can understand that every problem in business starts as a leadership issue. Then they can look at themselves in the mirror and understand how big of an issue they may be causing. But here's the beauty. They can also understand that every solution in a business starts as a leadership solution. And so they can look at themselves in the mirror and go, I'm not just a problem, I'm also the solution to our organization's biggest challenges.
I'm gonna get that on my coffee cup or my shirt to wear around the office. I'm the biggest problem. They're like, yeah, that's him. I don't know about the solution, but he's the biggest problem. So there you go. I fire myself.
Well, and we're business owners, and so the reality is, I have to look at myself in the mirror every day and go, every problem that the business is currently encountering is because of what I'm doing or not doing. She doesn't have to worry about that. She's doing great. Like, she's awesome. She's the solution to all of it. But I have to look at myself in the mirror and go, I'm the problem.
Yeah, we've learned by now that whenever we first start working with a leader or an organization, that our first few meetings are what we think of as finger pointing meetings. That's where we go through the process of, well, this is happening because of this person, or this is happening because of this situation. And it takes us a while to come all the way back around full circle to figure out, oh, where did those initial decisions come from? Where did, who was it that was tolerating these types of behavior day in and day out, and excusing poor performance and all those sorts of things. So once we can get past that finger pointing stage, then we can make some progress.
It's kind of funny. You guys have a lot of patience to go through. I mean, there is something about being a leader. The buck stops here. There's that's the one of the fun things about being an entrepreneur, and also one of the challenging things about being an entrepreneur is you don't get to go, it's the guy behind me's fault. Like, there's no guy behind you, it's you.
Right.
Crap, they got me figured out.
And the reason we know this is because we had to learn that lesson ourselves. We had to have somebody come in our life early on and hear our complaints and go, well, let's think about this for a minute.
Leadership, when and there's lots of different ways to come into leadership. I mean, I think it's harder to come into a situation like as a CEO. Maybe there's a public company or a company that's had trouble, and you're being brought in to save it, and you've got poor morale, poor leadership, maybe from the prior thing. I mean, that's usually why, and why probably they're being replaced, or starting a company, maintaining its culture. One of the first things I look at is what sort of culture am I building, what kind of environment do I want to have, and the leader really sets the tone, whether they're stepping into a situation they have to fix or whether they're creating their own. A leader sets the tone. Everyone looks to that leader and goes, what sort of leadership are we running here? What sort of organizational morals, ethics? What's our intent? Are we an honest organization, or is the leader stealing the company whole? Or he says one thing on the PR doc, and and he's overdoing, I don't know, some sort of illicit stuff within the organization, or people can just see he's full of shit, right? He's just lying. And people pick up on that stuff. Hey, this guy's full of crap. And he doesn't follow what he says. He doesn't believe what he says. And a lot of people lead from that PR sort of dictation, like, we're going to be a great company and a good company and a moral company and ethical company. By the way, 10,000 people are laid off today because we have AI.
Right.
Remember the do you know evil Google. The Google standard they had a model.
Oh yes, absolutely.
Evil. They finally had to get rid of it because they're just like, we're doing too much evil.
We're doing too much evil. Wow. Well, it's funny. So we talk about these 7 issues that cause all of these problems. The number one issue, the first in the list, is character. And what we found is that leaders actually have to demonstrate 2 types of character. The first is exactly what you talked about. It's this idea of moral character. Am I going to do what's right? Am I going to cheat? Am I going to lie? Am I going to steal? Because if I do, I give everybody else permission to do the same thing. So there's moral character. And then the second type is that they have to demonstrate what we call leadership character. And leadership character is, do I demonstrate humility? Like, do I think of myself as better than you, or do I think of others as better than me? It's taking responsibility, even for things that aren't your fault. So just because something goes wrong or you inherited a bad situation, that may not be your fault, but it is your responsibility. And then finally, how you treat people. Do you treat them with love and honor and dignity and respect? Those are all character issues. That's the first of the 7 issues that we talk about in here.
Yeah, we found a good litmus test for a leader is how you and your organization is talked about at the dinner table when your employees go home at night. If you could listen to some of those conversations, would they be complaining? Would they be hurt? Would they feel embarrassed? Or would they be talking about the incredible environment that they have the privilege of working in, and the incredible relationships they have the privilege of experiencing? So that's a good way to test if you're under good leadership, is how you're talking about them.
You talk about the people. Makes me now you made me paranoid. I'm sitting what are they talking about when they're home eating dinner? You know what we do? We don't let them go home at dinner. We just put them in
there. You go. Just
working
that way. Oh yeah, that's a great solution.
Just like we're like a doggy daycare. We just put them in the cages at night and then let them out in the morning, and everything's fine.
Well, you have solved the problem of them talking bad about you at the dinner table.
I mean, we throw them some meat, and just let them make sure they have plenty of water too. That's always important. So the judge says we got to give them
your
water.
Generosity knows no bounds.
It's my humility doesn't either. So this is one of the interesting things. You talk with a lot of leaders in your experience. One thing I've found in interviewing leaders is a lot of them don't know what their leadership style or delivery is. They don't really even know how they lead. Like, they don't have like a conscious awareness of it, given they've been leading for a long time. So they kind of have a subconscious toolbox. I've been guilty of that. But when you ask them what style of leadership they have, or what they're trying to do with their leadership, a lot of people I talk to, it's like, I don't know. I just tell people what to do and they do it. It's kind of funny. Do you find that with people? They need better help at identifying what sort of leadership traits they're actually trying to espouse or should be espousing?
Yeah, absolutely. I think what you're talking about is what we refer to as a competence issue. And for people just to take the opportunity to know themselves, to get to know themselves well enough where they figure out what their natural strengths are, how they're naturally wired toward leadership, how they're naturally wired to interact with people, and what their particular style of leadership looks like. I think along with that, what we've noticed is unless it's talked about, there's not often an agreement on even what the definition of leadership is.
Yeah.
So that's one of the first things that we'll talk about with an organization is, hey, let's get you all on the same page of how you all define a leader.
Mm.
What does a leader look like? Because some of you think you have to be charismatic to be a leader. You have to be a big outgoing personality. And some of you think the main objective is this kind of organizational managerial style where you've got all your ducks in a row. And once you start talking to people, you realize just how all over the place people are in even identifying what quality leadership is.
Yeah, it's I used to always think leadership was kind of bombastic, was really get up on a soapbox and blather your stupid head off, which is probably why I own a podcast. And my employees are like, "Can you just go get a podcast so we don't have to hear you barking at us all the time? Leave us the hell alone." And and then I had U.S. Navy Captain Brett Crozier on the show, and he was the guy. If you recall, he was he was the head of the USS Theodore Roosevelt, and they'd had COVID hit his ship, and he complained to the Pentagon because it was moving fast and the chain of command wasn't moving fast enough for the spread of COVID. And I mean, you're on a ship that's wall to wall people, right?
Right.
And he's trying to offboard them onto Guam and pay for hotels and stuff so that he can get them isolated so that, the ship doesn't become overcome. And of course, the politics of it got dragged into it, and he got removed from his post. But as he left his ship, his whole crew cheered him and chanted his name as he left.
Wow.
And I remember telling him, I'm like, I've been running companies since 18, and all the time I run companies, no one's ever cheered when I left the room. They probably wanted to cheer when I left the room, but no one ever. But what was interesting was he had this very stoic, and a lot of military leaders I have on, they have this Marcus Aurelius meditation, stoicism. It's kind of their Bible, I found. And he had this really quiet leadership style. And just having him on the show, and I learned from him, and now I've kind of watched in other leaders that you don't have to be that bombastic cheerleader sort of guy, but people do have to feel that you serve them. I don't know what you feel. I mean, it seems like leadership in recent years, although we're seeing kind of something weird with the oligarchy here and these billionaires in Silicon Valley lately. But it seems like for a long time we turned away from leadership that was the carrot and the stick with a big stick. You'll get fired if you don't do this. To where we have more of a service leadership. Do you think we're in that moment? Is that a good, accurate description?
Yeah, I think we are. I think that at the end of the day, that people not only want to be served, but they also want to be part of something that's significant. And the leader is ultimately a servant, not only to the mission, but also to the people. And so whenever we talk about it, we say there are really 4 questions that every employee is subconsciously asking every day. Question number 1, where are we going? Like, what are we actually trying to achieve here? Is it only about money, or are we trying to make the world a better place in some way? Like, what are we trying to achieve? What's the mountain we're trying to climb? So where are we going? Number 2 is, how are we getting there, right? Do we actually have a plan, a navigation? Are we clear on what we're doing? Number 3 is, what's my role in getting there? Do I play a significant role in helping us achieve this? Number 4 is, why is it important to get there in the first place? And that's the purpose and the way that you improve the world, the way that you really, kind of add value to the people around you. I think we would both say that we believe that when we talk about service as a way of leading, what we mean is we're serving people by helping them answer those questions well, and by helping them get to where we're trying to get together. So it's seeing the future and helping people get there, and helping them become the best version of themselves as they get there.
There you go. The best versions of themselves. Now, you guys talk in the book about being a leashed leader.
Yes.
And what is that about? And how do I get off this leash?
Whenever somebody recognizes that there is a disparity that exists between their current abilities and their responsibilities, that's when somebody notices the leash. And we've all been there. Sometimes it's the feeling of, whoa, I have way too much ability for my current responsibilities. But more often than not, it's the other way around. It's you've been promoted and all of a sudden your responsibilities exceed your abilities. And so then you've got to figure out what areas of development do I need to catch up with these responsibilities.
And that's where we go in, and we've said, again, 95% of the time, it comes down to one of 7 issues. It's either a character issue or a competence or a capacity or clarity, community, culture, or consistency. If you can figure out which of those issues are leashing you, then you can begin to take the right medicine to get unleashed.
And you mentioned about how employees have your followers, I suppose. They don't always have to be employees. They could just be your kids. Even parents are leaders.
Absolutely.
Or at least sometimes they are. Sometimes teenagers are leaders. So depends if you hold frame or not, which is also a big part of leadership. And but most people leave a company over poor leadership. That's what I found always most interesting to me. It's not over money. It's over poor leadership. I mean, my boss sucks. He makes working here a miserable hell. I mean, that's just what the employees say on the feedback chart we give them.
Right.
So talk to us
From
a
their
little bit about
cages.
and we let them out every night. They have to pee. So so what do you think about that? Or I don't know if you have any commentary on people leaving a business, and these are employees you've invested in, and they're hard to replace these days.
That is what the statistics show, and that's what we've seen in our experience. So much of it comes down to the boss.
In fact, some research has found that if you give an employee engagement survey to every person on your team, let's say it's a 50,000 person organization. If you give 50,000 employee engagement surveys, 70% of the difference comes down to who their direct manager is. So if you've got a good boss, chances are they're going to score higher. That group is going to score higher in their employee engagement. They're going to like their jobs more. They're going to like their coworkers more. If you've got a bad boss, or what we call a villain for a boss, then you're going to score lower in those. And that's what leads to, people quitting their jobs. People, the term for a while there was quietly quitting, where they're just disengaging. They're not doing good work, but they're still collecting a paycheck. It comes down, 70% of the difference comes down to who your boss is.
70% of the difference. Wow.
70,
there you go. Well, and I'm probably the villain boss. I'm the evil boss.
We need to get some other people on here and interview them, and we'll take over the podcast for a little bit and figure out how things are going.
$1 billion. Was that Dr. Evil? Now you talk in the book about how 95% of company problems come from just 7 leadership issues. Can you tease us out a few of those? People need to buy the book, of course, to find out. But
we talked about character. We talked about competence.
So the third issue is capacity. So capacity means you don't have the time, energy, or attention to lead. Leadership takes all of those: time, energy, and attention. And so capacity is often an issue where you're not managing your time well, or you're not delegating effectively. Another issue is clarity. We talked about that one for a second. Those are those 4 questions that people ask every day, and is the leader leading us to a better future? Fifth issue that we see is community. And community is all about trust and collaboration. Does the leader create an environment where people trust each other, where they get along with each other, and where they're willing to help each other and collaborate with each other? Sixth issue is culture. Culture comes down to, do we do what we say we value? In other words, are we living out the values and beliefs that we say are important to us? So if we say we care about customer service, do we actually serve our customers, or do we expect them to serve themselves? And then the final one is consistency. And consistency is kind of the wrapping of all of the other 6. It ties them all together. Are we consistent in our messages? Are we consistent in the way that we treat people? Are we consistent in the vision that we hold, but also our expectation of change to achieve that vision? And so it comes down to, am I showing up the same every day? So those 7 issues: character, competence, capacity, clarity, community, culture, and consistency. That's at least 95% of the challenges that leaders face.
There you go. And you talk about how there's good leaders and there's great leaders. How do I know where, if I'm a leader right now, maybe listen to the show, how do I know where I'm at on the scale of being good or great, and maybe what I need to do to get that next level? Or if you could tease it out, I don't mean to ask you for all the secrets in the book.
No,
You gotta buy the book, folks.
Happy
Gotta
to
buy
share the
book.
secrets, and you
Yeah.
can get the book.
Yeah, we refer to those as heroes and villains. There are villainous leaders and there are heroic leaders. And villains, a lot of time, they feel stagnant. They're the ones who've really gotten stuck in that leash. They've recognized that their abilities are not up to par with their responsibilities, but they've not done anything about it. And so these are the types of leaders where their people are going home at night saying unpleasant things about them at the dinner table.
Yeah. And a lot of times with those villainous leaders, they know that they need to grow, but they won't talk to anybody else about it. They won't let their team know that they know they need to grow. And so they just walk around like everything's fine. And of course, the whole team is sitting there being like, Boss Bob, what a jerk. What's wrong with him? And Bob just acts like, as long as we don't acknowledge that it's in the room, then we're fine.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Kind of
And
an
then-
ego thing there, maybe.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But here's the funny part about it. It is an ego thing, but it's wrapped in insecurity. If that makes sense. It's
it
how
does.
those two things can go together. Or a leader gets so wrapped up in trying to hide their insecurities and to hide these areas where they feel weak, that they have overcompensated by puffing up their ego and not having the humility to say, hey, this is where I really need my team. This is areas where I have recognized I require improvement, where I need to develop. And they don't see the value in letting people know that you're not perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And people look for that in a leader. They want to know that you recognize your mistakes, that you're growing,
Yep.
that you're asking people in your company or maybe your kids or wherever you're leading, you're asking them to grow and develop themselves and to
Yes.
to pull themselves into expanding, their skills and horizon
Yeah.
and thought process. But if you can't be self-actualized and self-accountable yourself, when you're asking other people to be self-accountable,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. The
problem,
best
because
way
people see
to
right through that.
They
the
do.
best way to communicate to people that I expect you to continue growing is to model that yourself.
Yeah,
Here's how it's done.
Exactly. And that's I mean, I think somebody calls that the man on the white horse effect, the guy who leads. And people look to that leader. They look to you and they go, okay, well, what example is he setting? What's the tone? What's the culture? What's the environment? I've worked in environments that are just popularity high school contests of
Yeah.
who can
Ew.
kiss butt to the leader as much as possible. And there's like a whole group of people, they don't do any work. They just spend all day kissing the leader's butt.
Oh,
Right.
yeah.
And of course, they're the ones that get all the promotions and all the. And then, I've seen leaders that are just amazing, where they're focused on service. They're meeting the front line almost on a daily basis. They're touring, they're shaking hands, they're touching hearts and minds, and they realize that that's their job. And then there's some leaders, they just the only meetings they have are with the boardroom, I suppose, and
Yeah.
investors and.
Mhm.
And like, I'm not going to go down the front line there. I don't know how to talk to those people.
Yeah.
You see some of that in what's that one show, the Boss show, where the boss hides. And
Oh,
then
yeah, undercover.
Oh, undercover boss.
Yeah.
Yeah.
you see some where the boss hides. I think what's always amazing is like those guys don't recognize the boss from the orientation.
I
video.
know, right? There's a problem right
Yeah.
there.
You all got to see the boss.
Yeah.
His
It's funny.
picture's on the wall somewhere.
It reminds me of a story. We were working with an organization several years ago, and they had done employee engagement surveys, and one of the questions that was asked was, on a scale of 1 to 5, how much do you trust the executive leaders? And the average score was a 1.2
out of 10.
And we out of 5, 1.2 out of 5.
So bad.
Bad either way. We had to be the people who delivered that to the executive team to let them know that was their scores. And one of the guys slammed his hand on the table and he goes, that's bullshit. That's not true. And I said, okay, well, tell us more. And he said, if I was walking down the street and I passed one of those people, they wouldn't be able to recognize me or pick me out from a lineup. and we stopped and we were like, I think you just proved their point, right?
Yeah.
That they wouldn't be able to recognize you from a lineup. Of course they don't trust you. They can't even know what your face looks like.
That's true. Yeah. What does he look like? I don't know who's running this thing. But yeah, it's really interesting. Now you talk about how do leaders move from guilt to growth. Who are the people who have the guilt? Is it usually those ones who are hiding behind their ego, or how does that work?
Yeah, so it's normally the guilt often comes when a leader realizes it's me. Hi, I'm the problem. It's me. In the words of the great leadership expert Taylor Swift, like when they begin to realize, hey, I'm actually the cause of the problems that people are having, that almost immediately leads to guilt and to shame. And so that's one of the reasons we wrote Unleashed Leadership, is because we wanted people to be able to say, I am the problem, and yet it's my actions and my unleashing that will create the solution to the problem. And so that's where we move from guilt to growth, is when we get unleashed.
And when that realization happens, the first thing that people feel is just overwhelmed with relief when you realize, oh, wait, not only is there a solution, but I get to captain that solution. I'm the one that can take all of the actions necessary to push that solution forward. There's a lot of relief in that.
Do you find a lot of, I see this with a lot of leaders, they seem to get promoted, but no one puts them through leadership training. They're just some employee, and you're like, hey, you're kind of exhibiting some leadership skills there.
Yeah.
Why don't you take over the reins there and have fun with that? And you're just like, I'm not sure I'm fully equipped for this.
Yeah, that's one of the biggest problems we see in organizations today, and it is across the board, across industries. And sometimes it's not even people recognizing leadership potential in a person. It's people saying, hey, the job you're doing right now, you're doing it really well. Why don't you stand up and manage all these other people?
Yeah.
And just because somebody's really good at one skill doesn't mean they have completely different set of skills necessary to be able to lead people. So if organizations would make that one addition to their process of whenever there's a promotion, whenever people are changing positions, of adding that leadership development step in that promotion, it would do wonders for people's organizations.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And what you're talking about is actually the research around it is between 82 and 87% of people are promoted into a job without any leadership development training.
Wow. I've often thought that if we ever advance people in leadership stuff in our companies anymore, we're going to put them through leadership training first.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, I'll tell you, we've got something for you. If you go to advancedleadership.live/join community, we actually have a community for leaders that helps them. And we're trying to take the pressure off of companies to have to do that. Like, that's hard to create your own leadership development. And so it's an opportunity where people can come in and be like, hey, let's connect with other leaders who are hungry to grow, who are servant-minded, and who want to get unleashed.
There you go. Get unleashed. Stop unleashing yourself, probably.
That's right.
So let's talk about some of the services you offer there on the website. I know you've got a free audio book where people can get a shot at that. Let's talk about some of the services you guys offer there.
Yeah. So we do have the free audio book. So people can get access to the free audio version of Unleashed Leadership. The two big services that we offer, one is for individual leaders, and that's the community that I just was talking to you about, is we meet twice a month. Dorothy and I do leadership development training with them, but then they are also part of peer pods that allow them to push each other, to challenge each other, to grow. There's discussions that happen throughout the month as people try to get better. So that's for individual leaders.
Yeah, that's for those people who are in organizations where either leadership development was not offered to them, or they feel like the leadership development they were given was not adequate or what they needed. So this is an opportunity for them to step out as individuals and join a community and take the reins on their own leadership development.
Yeah.
And you mentioned you have like little pods or something like that, a peer
Yeah,
pod?
we do have. So within that group, they'll be they're put into groups of about 6 people, and those 6 people will meet for a quarter at a time and be able to spur each other on and encourage each other, help each other with their growth. And then they also have access to Dorothy and myself to help guide them and think through some of those challenges that they're having.
There you go. Now,
and then we have one other service. So this is for organizations. This is when an organization says we want our senior leaders or our middle leaders to have further development. So we call these transformations. We actually help them identify which of those 7 issues are causing the biggest challenges organization-wide. And then we work with them to implement really practical tools and systems and habits as leaders that unleash the rest of the organization.
Nice. Leadership is everything. It's
It is.
the whole organization.
We think so.
Yeah.
Culture.
We've built our life around it.
It really does. And it's so amazing how different it could be. Now, if I'm out there listening in the audience, how do I qualify for you as a client? Is there a certain net worth or a leadership position they have to have? How does someone know that they have the potential to be a client with you?
Great question. So you have to have an actual leadership position with actual authority and actual responsibility to lead other people. So we're not the place for people who are high potentials but don't have the actual position yet. We work with those who do. Typically, you're in a company with at least 100 employees or more, so that you have several folks who are reporting to you. And you've got to be to us, I think the biggest thing is you've got to be hungry to grow. You've got to be hungry enough to grow and humble enough to understand that you need other people to help you grow.
There you go. There you go. Anything more we want to add, folks, before we go out? Anything we missed? Any questions we should have asked?
Hey, just, I don't know if we said it, but if you go to advanceleadership.live/free book, you can get your free audio copy of Unleashed Leadership. Dorothy and I narrate that ourselves, and we've even included some bonus content in there, some extra conversations and extra insights that aren't in the print edition.
And of course, if you want the print copy, it's available on Amazon. Now, this series, we made the very intentional decision that each of these books would be mini books. They're around 120 pages long. And the reason we made that decision is because research shows that people stop reading a nonfiction book around 120 pages. So that's all we got for you. So you can finish the book.
It's really funny. Yeah. It's like they just, every time I talk to authors, they're like, yeah, the publishing companies want shorter books.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you'd think they'd want like, War and Peace for what they pay.
Right.
But
we were originally going to put all 8 books into one mega book, and it was like, oh no, nobody's going to read that.
Short. I mean, like, it's crazy to see these Amazon shorts or Facebook shorts. I'm not sure where I'm consuming them, but I'll see these shorts. I think they're on YouTube or Instagram or Facebook or something. But they literally, it's like a 30-second short of whatever someone's promoting, and they're stacking it with 2 ads. They're like 20 seconds each.
Oh wow.
And I'm like, we're doing 2 ads on a 30-second video.
What has happened to our mind?
That's brutal. That is brutal.
It's usually like halfway through, so you haven't even gotten to the meat of the 10, 20-second, 30-second video. You're just
gosh.
like, what the hell's going on? Gives you kind of a shock there. So
Yeah.
anyway, folks, it was wonderful to have you on, and great insights for people. And I think more and more companies really need to care about leadership. It's almost like they just kind of throw leaders to the wolves nowadays. Like, here, you take the wheel, see what happens. I don't know, Bob.
Yeah, they get into these patterns of, well, I did it. You can do it too.
Yep.
I didn't get any training.
Oh yeah, and I've done the thing where I've taken great salesmen and tried to make him a sales manager. Oh
Yeah.
it just destroys both ends of the thing. So
Yes, it does.
I've seen that movie. I've made some mistakes in promotion, but yeah, I mean, there's kind of two different mindsets of being a good manager and being a great salesman, and the two don't usually mix. It's very rare.
That's it.
I don't know. As a CEO, I see myself as a salesman, so maybe it does in some cases, but for most people, they're good at one lane. Thank you very much, folks, for coming to the show. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. And thanks, Jonas, for tuning in. Order of the book wherever fine books are sold. You can, of course, get the free copy if you go to their website and click on the free audiobook, or you can order off of Amazon or wherever fine books are sold. It's entitled Unleashed Leadership, How to Solve the 7 Issues Holding You Back from Your Greatest Impact. Book 1 of the Unleashed Leadership series. Unleash your leadership, folks. To quit holding back, it's time. Anyway, guys, thanks for tuning in. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, linkedin.com/Chris Voss, Chris Voss 1 on the TikTokity, and all those crazy places on the internet. Be good to each other. Stay safe. We'll see you next.
You've been listening to the most amazing, intelligent podcast ever made to improve your brain and your life. Warning, consuming too much of the Chris Voss Show podcast can lead to people thinking you're smarter, younger, and irresistible sexy. Consume in regularly moderated amounts. Consult a doctor for any resulting brain bleed.